Good morning, students. Welcome back to online session on programming for problem solving course. In our yesterday's session, we discussed the bitwise operators. Okay, before the discussion, I have explained you how you can represent the negative numbers in binary form, and we have also seen how we can represent the fractional numbers, that is decimal numbers with fractional part, how you can convert that number into binary, and the vice versa also we have seen, that is converting the binary numbers with fractional parts into decimal numbers, that also we have seen. See, so far we discussed all the different varieties in two number systems, that is decimal and binary number systems. So now we are aware of two number systems, that is binary and decimal. Binary number system, we said the base will be 2 because we are having only 2 digits to represent all the numbers in binary form. Then for decimal numbers, we are having 10 digits including 0, 0 to 9, we are having 10 digits, so the base will be 10 over 10 over there. So this concepts we have covered, and I told you that we also have two more number systems, that is octal number system and hexadecimal number system, that we will discuss very soon. Okay, for now we just practice this decimal and binary number system. Okay, so yeah, in today's session we'll further continue into your operators concept, and we see the remaining operator categories. So far I will quickly open that slide for you. So far we discussed the arithmetic operators, then we discussed relational, logical, bitwise also we have seen. Okay, bitwise also we have covered. Then we have to see what is assignment, what is increment decrement, what is conditional, and other operator categories. These four we have to complete. Yeah, we'll go and we'll see what is assignment operator. So assignment operator is something to assign the values. Okay, you have constant literals, and to assign the values to your variables, we use this assignment operator. So whenever the assignment operator is used, the value or the expression whatever you have right hand side to the assignment operator will get evaluated, and the final value will be stored inside the left side operand. Okay, left side we are going to have operand, or left side we are going to have the variable, and in that variable what we are doing, we are storing the expression evaluated value or the literal value into that variable. So the thing, it is very simple. See, whenever we are writing like this, when a value, let us say you're taking some 21, and b value, let us say you're taking some 30, and then you're writing c equals to a plus b. See, in all these three statements I'm making use of the assignment operator. So over here the assignment operator, see, don't get confused between the assignment operator and comparison operator. So this is double equal to, isn't it? This is double equal to, and this is single equals to. So this single equals to, we call it as an assignment operator. Okay, we call it as an assignment operator. But whereas this double equals to, we call it as an equivality operator. Okay, it will check the equivality of two given numbers. It will check the equivality of two given operators. Okay, two given operands, sorry. So over here what will happen when you use this assignment operator? So this assignment operator, it will store the value 21 into this variable container. So here also the assignment operator, it will store the value 30 into this container b, and over here the expression, we are taking the expression to the right hand side of the assignment operator. So what will happen, the expression will be evaluated in such a way, the values will be placed. So 21 plus 30, it is 51. So C will get 51. So that 51, I mean, first of all, the value will be evaluated. First of all, the value will be evaluated. 51, the expression value will be evaluated. We are getting 51, and that 51 will be stored inside this variable container C. So in this way, the assignment operator is helpful. So yeah, here if you read this first statement, you will understand the assignment operator, and the assignment operator sign, symbol, or the token is single equals to. this operator you have to use. Evaluates the operand on the right hand side of the operator and places the value in the variable on the left hand side. So operand or expression, if you are maintaining at the right hand side, it will get evaluated. It will be, it will be reduced to a single value, and that single value will be stored inside the left hand side operand. That is nothing but left hand side variable. Okay, simply remember this one. Okay, the value on the right hand side must be of the same data type of variable on the left hand side. I mean, both the sides, whatever values you are using or whatever operands you are using, their type must be same. Their type must be same. Otherwise, what will happen? Your compiler will raise an exception. Your compiler will generate an error. Okay, your compiler will raise an error. So the thing, when you are storing an integer value into a variable, so over here we said 21. So this 21, it is a integer value. So here the a must be of type integer. A must be of type integer. Same thing for b. B must be of type integer, like this. So over here the value 21, literal constant, it is an integer type. So that value to hold, we need an integer constant. We need an integer constant. Can we put like this? Int a equals to 4.37? Yeah, possibly we can, but it is not, it will not give any accurate result to you. It will not give any accurate result. Okay, the value will be truncated over here. Okay, that thing we will see when it comes in our discussion. But like this, it is a double value. By default, it is what type? It is a double type. So we said whenever you are keeping a constant literal, whenever you are keeping a constant literal, it will be having a type. So whereas this 4.37, it is a precision value with whole number, so a floating point, isn't it? It is a floating point constant, and moreover inside floating point, whatever values you represent, whatever real values, real constant you will represent, all those by default they will be of type double. So it is a double type and it is an integer type. So there is a mismatch in data type, isn't it? There is a mismatch in data type. So such condition should not occur in your programming. Such situation should not come, and you have to handle this situation properly. And how we are going to handle this situation, very soon we discuss about it. So simply remember, when you are using the assignment operator between the two operands or between the two values, their type must be same. Here we have integer type, so you can store only integer value. In order to store this double value, you need to have a double variable. Then only you will get accurate results. Otherwise, you will get some inaccurate results. So quickly we go and we see what else we have. Okay. So the assignment operator. Okay. So the right side value can't be a constant. Yeah, you have to remember this one. So we can't put a constant right hand side to the assignment operator. Doing so is also an error. Doing so is also an error. I will show you quickly that thing. Keeping a constant to the right hand side, in the sense doing like this, 20. Okay, 20 is a constant, isn't it? So 20 equals to 40. Can we do like this? Not possible. Or in short, 20 equals to a. Can we do like this? Not possible. This is a constant. This is a constant. Taking a constant right hand side to the assignment operator. So where we are taking, sorry, left hand side here, isn't it? The right side value can't be a constant, so here it should come left side. Okay, it should not be right side, left side. Okay, we can't put constant left side to the assignment operator, and doing so is an error. Right side we can put constants, but left side we can't put. Okay, so if this is your board, so here we are having, this is the left side and this is your right side, right? So this is your left side, this is your right side. Left side you can't take constants, right side you can. Okay, right side you can take to the assignment operator, but left side you can't take constant. This one you remember. Taking a constant left side to the assignment operator is an error. So like this you are doing 20 equals to 40. It is not an valid statement. And 20 equals to a. This is also not a valid statement because 20 is a constant. Even though if your a is a variable, if this a is having some value, that value you can't store inside this 20. It is a constant, isn't it? So in that way you remember. So the next thing, yeah, these are all the three major points that we need to discuss related to this assignment operator. So the first one, assignment operator, what it will do, it will always evaluates the right hand side value and stores that value into the left hand side operand. Okay, the value on the right hand side must be and left hand side and right hand side, or we can say the values on the both sides. Okay, both sides of the assignment operator, they must be of same type, otherwise the compiler will raise error. Okay, if you are taking different types of values on both sides of your assignment operator, you need to handle those values properly. Okay, we have a concept called type conversion. We have a concept called type conversion where the mismatch types will be handled. So how we are going to handle the mismatched types means with the help of this type conversion concept. Whenever there is a mismatch in the types, both side to your assignment operator, we call that as type mismatch. Okay, so in order to do the conversion from one type to another type, we go for type conversion and type casting concept. Okay, very soon we will discuss that also. Okay, the right hand side, sorry, the left hand side, this is not right, the left hand side value, it can't be a what we call the left side value, it can't be a constant. Always the left side of your assignment operator, you need to put a operand only, that is a variable only. Okay, so simply remember these things. Then we have types of assignment operators. We have two different types of assignments, or we can say three different types, I guess. Yes, three different types of assignment operators. The first one is a simple assignment, multiple assignments, and compound assignment. Simply remember, we have three different types of assignment operators. Uh, uh, yeah, we can say there are three different types of assignments possible using the same operator as equals to. Yeah, with the help of this equals to notation only, we frame three different types of assignment operations. So the first one is a simple assignment, the second one multiple assignment, and the third one compound assignment, that we will see over here. The simple assignment, this type of statement will have only one assignment operator, okay, in it. Simple expression, simple assignment operator, we call it as simple assignment. Okay, the right hand side value will get evaluated, the right side value or the result will be assigned. I mean, whatever expression you are going to put to the right side of the assignment operator, it will get evaluated and the final result will be stored in the left side variable. Okay, so over here you said a equals to 10. It is a simple assignment. It is a simple assignment. Okay, there is another assignment category, that is multiple assignment, and over here you can see a equals to b equals to c equals to 10. So over here what will happen, this 10 value will be stored inside C as well as inside B as well as inside A. So after this expression, all my variables A, B, C will hold 10. Will hold 10. So this is multiple assignment. Using inside a single statement, we are assigning this 10 as a value to all these variables, to all these operands, just by using this assignment operator multiple times. So writing A is equals to B is equals to C is equals to some 100, then what will happen? This 100 will be stored inside C, B and A as well. So inside a single statement or inside a single expression, we are doing the assignment multiple times. We are doing the assignment multiple times. So this is multiple assignment in a single statement, we can say. So this is multiple assignment, simple assignment, multiple assignment. There is another version of this assignment, that is compound assignment. Okay, compound assignment. It is sometimes it is called as shorthand notation for simple assignment. Okay, shorthand notation. So how it is shorthand notation, I will show you. So it requires the left operator to be repeated as part of the right expression. Left operator, what we are doing, we are repeating it as part of the right side expression. There are 5 different types of compound assignments listed in the following figure. So here, plus equals to, minus equals to, multiplication equals to, division equals to, and modulo division equals to. Apart from this, by using all logical and bitwise operators also, you can frame the compound assignments that we are not discussing over here. We are keeping this stuff as simple as possible. That is the reason why I am not taking more complicated stuff over here. So simply remember the compound assignment. we can frame with any of the operator category, but for now we are discussing only for arithmetic operator types. So that is arithmetic addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, modulo division, and what else, multiplication. So likewise, so quickly I will give you the meaning of all these things. What is mean by compound assignment? So plus equals to minus a compound assignment, we are doing, I mean we are writing shorthand notation for simple assignment. So that is your compound assignment. Compound assignment. So how simple it is, you just see. So compound assignment operators, we have plus equals to, we have minus equals to, we have multiplication equals to, we have division equals to, and we have modulo division equals to, and what else is pending? I guess all we have covered, right? Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, all we have covered. So this plus equals to, what does it mean exactly? So if you, yeah, this, all these are binary operators, all these are binary operators. So they take two operands, and they take two operands, and they are the shorthand notations for simple assignment operator. They are the shorthand notations for simple assignment operator. I will show you. See, you can write a plus equals to 2. Okay, a plus equals to 2. How these expression will get evaluated? What value the a will hold? I mean, okay, before this I have to assign a value, so that you won't get any garbage value. So what I have to do? Yeah, I have to assign a. So I am taking integer a equals to some 20. So then what I am saying? A plus equals to 2. Like this, I'm writing one simple statement. So now what does it mean? Okay, for us, what does it mean? How the value of a will be after this particular statement? So this means in your programming, writing like this means a equals to a plus 2. So instead of writing the same operand a twice, what we have done, we have reduced this to only one a, and we removed this one and we added this plus over here. So a plus equals to 2, like that we have written. So that means a equals to a plus 2. When you are seeing like this, a plus equals to 2, it means a is equals to a plus 2. So now what is the, I mean, value of this one? A equals to a plus 2. So a value is 20, and plus 2 you have to add, and finally after this evaluation your a value will become 22. Previously it was 20, but now it will become 22. So this is how the value gets evaluated. So this is a simple assignment operation, isn't it? This is a simple assignment operator with operation with a expression, but you have reduced, I mean you have used this compound assignment as a shorthand notation to avoid the repetition of the operands in your statement. So over here a gets repeated twice in your simple expression. So that we have avoided simply by taking the help of this compound assignment. Simply by taking the help of this compound assignment. Same thing for your multiplication. If you see the multiplication, a multiplied equals to 2. A multiplied equals to 2. That is multiplication equals to is a compound assignment. So a multiplied a, sorry, once again, a multiplied equals to 2. So what does it mean? How this value gets evaluated? So this means a equals to a multiplied with 2. So like this. So what is the value of a? 20. 20 multiplied with 2, it will become 40. So finally the a value, after this expression, the a value will become 40. Like this you can remember. Same thing for a division equals to 2. A division equals to 2. So consider the same value for a. So then a equals to a divide with 2. So a equals to, what is a value? 20. 20 divided by 2. So a will become 10. So again, one more time, this is the shorthand notation. This is the shorthand notation for a equals to a divided by 2. So for all these compound assignment operations, you can take the same, evaluation. You can take the same evaluation by framing the simple expression from this compound expression, and you evaluate that simple expression to get the final value for your operand. Okay, so simply what we have done, the repetition of the operand we have reduced to only one operand. The repetition of the operand we have reduced to only one operand, and with the help of, this compound assignments, we are framing this type of expressions. So, simple assignment, multiple assignment, and compound assignment. Assignment operator, it is having three different categories: simple assignment, compound assignment, and multiple assignment and compound assignment. So I will open this IDE to show the working of those compound and multiple and compound. So a regular assignment we use anyhow. So yeah, I'm starting my program. So hash include stdio.h. Okay, then hit enter. Yeah, save this program. Control S. So assignment operator dot c, assignment operator dot c, then stdio dot h, int main of void. So in it, what I am doing, I'm writing my variable. I'm declaring my variable int a equals to some 20 value I'm storing. Then you take another variable int c, and now no need of variable, because we will do compound assignment now. So a plus equals to some 2. So now what will be the value of a after this statement? So as we discussed, it should be 22, isn't it? It should be 22, because we are adding uh, a equals to plus, when we are adding a value, when we are adding 2 to same a. So this means what? I will write in the comment. This means what? A equals to a plus 2, as we discussed. This is a equals to a plus 2. As a value is 20, so the final a value will become 22. After this expression, the a value will become 22. So like that you remember. So we evaluate and we'll see whether we get the same output or what. Yeah, the program compilation is successful. Now you execute, see, you can see a equals to 22 you are getting. Okay, a equals to 22 you are getting. So next thing, multiple assignment we will see. Okay, multiple assignment equals to b equals to c equals to d equals to 20. I will print all those values. A equals to percentile d, simply you have to write like this: b equals to percentile d, c equals to percentile d, and d equals to, d we have taken, yes, d also we have taken, percentile d. Then close the string, comma, comma, a comma b comma c comma d. So now what will happen? Yeah, wherever, see, when you are writing this string like this, when you are writing this string like this, then what will happen over here means, yeah, wherever you are writing this percentile d and passing the values over, data values over here, the first data value will get replaced with first percentile d, and the second data value will get replaced with second percentile d. So third data value will get replaced with third percentile d. Likewise, all the data values will get replaced with the percentile d's according to their what we call sequence, according to their sequence. So first we have written percentile d, we have written a over here. So first percentile d replaced with a. Then again one more percentile d we have written, and second we have written b. So second percentile d will get replaced with b. So likewise, how many percentile d's you are writing inside your control string? We call this particular thing as control string. Remember this one. We call this thing as control string. And these are what are these? Data values. These are data values. And this percentile d, we call it as conversion specification. Conversion specification. And this conversion specification, for integers it is percentile d, for characters it is percentile c, for double it is percentile f. Likewise, you have to remember, for floating point it is percentile f, for integer percentile d, for character percentile c, for floating point percentile f, like that you remember. Okay, so inside your control string, how many conversion specifications you are specifying, that many data values you have to pass, so that every conversion specification will be replaced with a data value. So here my first conversion specification, so these things you write down. It is a very important thing. So you write down because I haven't explained. I guess I haven't explained this thing to you, so now I'm explaining. So simply take down printf, you're writing printf of, okay, like this, percentile d, percentile d, percentile d, like this. 3 you take, then comma you take, a, comma b, comma c, like this you take. So now what is this? It is a complete printf function. It is a complete printf function with these arguments. Okay, it is a predefined printf function, predefined output function basically. So in order to print something on the output screen, we use this printf function. So it is a predefined one, predefined output function, predefined output function. And what is this? Between the double quotations, whatever we have from here to here, whatever we have, okay, between the double quotations, whatever we have, we call it as, yes, control string. We call it as control string, control string. Now, these things, this percentile D, percentile D, percentile D, whatever we have over here, we call them as conversion specifications. Conversion specification. Specification. And these are data values. Whatever we are passing over here, we call them as data values. Okay, so these conversion specifications, we have some percentile D for integers, okay, and percentile F for floating point, that is real. Floating point are for real numbers, we can say. Then we have percentile C for characters, percentile C for characters, like this you remember. So all conversion specifications I have written over here. So percentile D for integers, percentile F for floating point, and percentile C for characters. And conversion specifications we put inside the control string. Your control string not only have the conversion specifications, but also it can have other characters. Okay, there is a big story behind this using conversion specifications, control strings, and all those things. If you want specifically, you can refer the complete reference of C. Complete reference of C, you will get full understanding over there. Okay, but for your syllabus, as these input output IO things are not into that much deep, so that is the reason why simply I am giving the predefined function printf, and I'm explaining the terminology over here. What is conversion specification, what is control string, and what is data values passed to this printf function. And printf function, why we are saying predefined, means because the code associated with this print, how this printf function should work inside your program, the code, the complete code, it is already written inside the header file. See, when I'm writing the program, I'm using this header file stdio.h, standard input output header file.h. So inside this header file, the code associated with this printf function is available. So that is the reason why we are including this header file into our program. So when the compiler reads our program and when it sees this predefined function printf or keywords, integer, and all these things, it will simply look for the code inside these header files. As the code, the meaning of this printf is available inside the stdio.h file, it will act accordingly. Your compiler will act accordingly. So quickly, yeah, now what will happen? So as we said, so here you remove this statement. Okay, this complete statement you put in comments. So as we said, a value, b value, c value, d value, we are assigning using multiple assignment procedure. So what will happen? All the values will become 20 only. So simply compile. Yeah, it is giving some issue over here. Uh, yes, these operands, operators must be defined first. These operands must be defined first, then you can do the compound assignment, not at the same time. So now it will work. First you do the declaration of those variables, or we can say definition of those variables, then do the initialization. So now all operators will take, all operands will take 20. See, A equals to 20, B equals to 20, C equals to 20, and D is also equals to 20. Likewise, we got the output. A value, B value, C value, D value, all are holding 20 only. Okay, all are holding 20 only. Hopefully, you understood this concept. So, quickly, yeah, this also I have explained. Compound assignment also we have explained, and we have seen the program example as well for this one. So, the next thing we have increment and decrement operators. It is also one of the important operator category inside this operators. Many times they ask this, there is a possibility that they will frame the questions from this increment and decrement operators as well. Okay, what are these? These categories of operators are unary operators. They won't take two operands, they will take only one operand to perform their operation. Okay, all increment and decrement operators we have only two, so they are unary operators. They are unary operators. That means they will take only one operand to perform the functionality. So what are these? Unary, sorry, increment. We have yeah, we have this increment and decrement operator. So in order to frame these operators like this type of tokens, you have to use double plus for addition, that is increment, and double minus for decrement. Double plus for increment and double minus for decrement. So whenever you use this increment or decrement operator with operand, what they will do means they will simply add one to that operand. They will add only one to that operand, or when you are using decrement, they will subtract one from that operand. Okay, suppose if you are using this plus plus and minus minus, increment operator and decrement operator with uh, any of the operand, then the operand's value will be incremented by 1. The operator's value will be incremented by 1. And if you use this same operand, I mean the decrement operand with any of the variable, then that operand's value will be decremented by 1. Okay, so as they are unary operators, they will take only one operand to perform the functionality. Okay, uh, yeah, uh, these unary operators, are these unary increment and decrement operators. We can be use these operators in two different ways. One is in postfix notation, and the other one is in prefix notation. Postfix notation and prefix notation. So using this increment and decrement and postfix prefix, we can frame four different types of operators. So the first one, okay, where is my cursor? Here it is. So we can frame four different types of increment and decrement operators. The first one is postfix postfix increment, postfix increment. Okay, the second one, postfix decrement, postfix decrement. Then we have the third one, prefix, okay, prefix increment. And the last one, the fourth one, prefix decrement. Okay, prefix decrement. Remember all these categories. The first one is postfix increment, postfix decrement, prefix increment, and prefix decrement. I will explain all these four by taking some simple examples. So quickly go to your whiteboard and delete all these things. So it is very simple to understand. So let us quickly take a simple example. Okay, it is not visible, so I will do the, okay. So let us take two variables basically, so that we can understand the uh, increment and decrement operators. So I'm writing that over here. Why it is not increasing? So my operator categories, that is increment or decrement operators. Increment and decrement operators. For increment we are using plus plus, and for decrement we are using minus minus, like this. So simple. To understand this increment and decrement, how they will work, we said increment will add 1 to my operand and decrement will subtract 1 from my operand. So let us assume if I have an operand value int a equals to some 20. So doing a plus plus is same like a equals to a plus 1. Okay, and doing a minus minus is same like doing a equals to a minus 1. Okay, a equals to a plus 1, a equals to a minus 1, like this. So simply what they will do, when you say a plus plus, it will add 1 to a. Okay, so the value over here we made a as 21. So if you say a plus plus, then indirectly what will happen, the value of a will become 21. Then if you say a minus minus, okay, without this, if you say a minus minus, then the value of a will become 19. Okay, then the value of a will become 19. Always remember, if you do both the things like this, again the value of a will become 20, because already we have incremented in this particular, I mean, how the control will consider all these statements means, first it will evaluate this, then it will evaluate this, then it will evaluate this. Like your mathematics, it will follow the top down approach. So here we initialized a value 20, here we incremented a value as 21, and when you are trying to decrement, it will consider this as a equals to a minus 1 only. But a value over here, what it will consider, is it considered 20 or is it considered 21? Yes, the most recent change what you have done to the operand, that change will be considered over here. So over here 21 will be considered, not 20. Okay, 21 will be considered. So 21 minus 1, it is again 20 only. So simply these three notations I will write in my program, and I will show you how increment, decrement operators will work. Still we have to discuss postfix and prefix. That we will come back and we will discuss, because it is a very important concept. Postfix and prefix also we have to discuss. So first let me just go to the compiler and show you how these uh, increment and decrement will work. Okay, 20 I have taken. So now what I'm saying, I'm simply saying remove all these things not required, simply print a value, because we will be taking only a over here. So print a value, semicolon at the end. So now remove these as well. So simply say a plus plus, that's it. And I told you that a plus plus, it is exactly similar to a equals to a plus 1. A equals to a plus 1. Now save this and compile. Compilation is successful. Now execute. See, you will get the a value as 21. We are getting a value as 21. Because why we got a value as 21 means, because we wrote a plus plus, which is exactly equals to a plus 1. A equals to a plus 1. So we are simply adding 1 to the existing value. 1 to the existing value. Existing value is 20. So after adding, it will become 21. So the same thing we are getting. So same, if you write a minus minus over here, a minus minus, this is decrement operator. So minus 1, a is equals to a minus 1. So it is a shorthand notation, we can say. So compilation is successful, then execute. See over here, 19 we got. So 19 we got. Why we got 19? In the sense, because the value gets decremented by 1. The existing value gets decremented by 1. So that is the reason why we got 19 over here. So hopefully you understood how the increment and decrement operators will work. Simply they will add 1 to the existing value or operand's value, or it will subtract 1 from the existing operand value. So like this you remember. So next we have to understand what do you mean by postfix and what do you mean by prefix. So postfix, how we can frame in the sense, see, it is very simple. Postfix, how we can frame in the sense, yeah, just take the operator, increment operator, after the operand. So just now how we have written. So after the operand, if you take the increment operator, the meaning is entirely different. Okay, there is a big meaning behind taking the increment operator before or after the operand. There is a big meaning. So as they are unary, they will take only one operand, that you have to remember. So A I am taking. So postfix in the sense A plus plus. Okay. Prefix in the sense plus plus A. Okay. In prefix, what we are doing, in prefix notation, what we are doing, these two are the notations. In prefix notation, what we are doing, we are taking the operator before the operand. So prefix notation. So in postfix notation, what we are doing, we are taking the operator after the operand. After the operand. So these two are postfix and prefix notation. So same thing for decrement operator. We can have postfix decrement and we can have postfix prefix decrement. So this is postfix decrement and this is prefix decrement. Here postfix increment, prefix increment. Remember this one. So I will write all these things one by one for your understanding. So already I have written two. So this one is what? This is postfix increment. The meaning I will explain. There is a big difference between these two. Of course, they will do the same thing, postfix increment, but when they do, it is very important. So plus plus A in the sense prefix. Prefix increment. Prefix increment. So same thing for A minus minus, it will be postfix decrement. Postfix decrement. And finally minus minus A, it is minus minus A, it is prefix decrement. Prefix decrement. So take down all these things in your running notes. Postfix increment, postfix decrement, prefix increment and prefix decrement. Okay, so like this. So quickly we go and we see how these, what meaning they have in our programming, what meaning they have. So doing postfix increment or doing prefix increment, two different things. Two different things. So take two operators now. So int A value like 20 I am taking, then int C value B value I am taking without initialization. Uninitialized B value I am taking. So now when you do postfix increment, both are same. Doing A plus plus will also increment A value by 1 or plus plus A will also increment A value by 1. Both are same. This is A equals to A plus 1. But when exactly it is doing, that thing we have to understand. So if you say B is equals to A plus plus, postfix increment we are doing. Postfix increment we are doing. And you try to print the value printf percentile D B. So what value we are expecting over here? So what value we are expecting? We have to print B. Okay. So printf, because in B only we are seeing the effect over here. Printf percentile D. Okay. Percentile D comma B. So what value we are expecting over here? So see, yeah. Over here what will happen when the compiler sees this expression, postfix expression inside your program, it will, before evaluating this expression, as it is postfix, so before evaluating, what it will do, it will assign the value of A to B. So what is my value of A? 20. So it will assign the 20 to B, then it will increment A value. Then it will increment A value. So first, yeah, you print both the things. To see the difference, you print both the things. Okay, you print both the things. So that I will write like this: A equals to percentile D space B also equals to percentile D, then take a comma between A comma B also you print like this. So what it will do, first it will assign A value to B. So what is A value? 20. So B value will become 20. Then it will increment A value like this, you remember. First it will assign, then increment. First, it will assign the value to B, then increment. Okay. First assign, then increment. So A value will become 20, sorry, B value will become 20 and A value will become 21. Okay. A value will become 21. So what it is doing? First it is assigning, then it is incrementing. The postfix increment. So then we have a prefix. This is one thing. Parallelly you do another one. So same thing, int A equals to 20. Then declare another variable int B, and b is equals to, now you do prefix increment, plus plus a. So now what will happen? First it will increment. Okay, first, because plus plus is coming before the operand. Okay, so first it will increment. First a value will become plus 1. Whatever a value you are having, it will become plus 1. So we are having a value as 20, so it will become 21. So first a value will become 21, and the same thing will get assigned to b, isn't it? And the same thing will get assigned to b. So in postfix we got the values like this. In postfix, that is a plus plus, we got the values like this. But in plus plus a, what we will get? First the value gets incremented, so a value will become 21 first. A value will become 21 first, then the same thing will get assigned to b. So b value will also become 21. Quickly we go and we see these two things. Okay, we practice, I mean we write the same code in our program. This understanding is very, very important, and I'm not going to repeat this any further. If you want the clarification, again you have to come back to the video and you have to watch the video, I'm saying to you. So postfix increment, first what it will do? First it will assign the value of a to b, then increment a value. First it will assign the value of the operand, then it will increment the operand. Okay, then in postfix increment, sorry, in prefix increment, first the value will be incremented, then it will be assigned. So quickly go and see that logic over here. So what we have done, simply we have taken a, then take b, int b, then what we have to do? Yeah, do like this. Do like this. B is equals to, first we do postfix a plus plus. So now, so according to our explanation, a value we are printing, then b value also we are printing. Percentile d. Okay, a value we are printing and b value also we are printing. So now what will happen? What value you will get inside a and what value you will get inside b? According to our discussion, first the value will be assigned to b, isn't it? So first a value will be assigned to b. So b will become 20. B will become 20, and then we are saying b value we should get 20. Then the value of a gets incremented. Then the value of a gets incremented. So a you will get 21. Okay, first you will get b as 20 and a you will get 21. So the same thing we will see. I have written b value as 20, a value as 21. This is, I said, this is according to my explanation. So the same thing we will see. Yeah, we'll quickly go and we'll see. Then yeah, compile this program. Compilation, it is successful. Then execute the program. Run. See, a value we got, as I said, a value we got 21, and then b value as 20. Whatever I said, we got the same thing. So then we see prefix. Okay, prefix increment. Okay, then we see prefix increment, that is before the operand plus put plus plus. Okay, before the operand use the increment operator. So now first the value will be incremented. First the value will be incremented. So a value will become 21. Then the value will be assigned. So b value will also becomes 21, because already a got incremented, and the same thing we are assigning to what we call b. Okay, the same thing we are assigning to b. Okay, in that way, what the value of a, it will be 21, and what the value of b, it will also be 21. So compile and execute. Compile and execute. So then run. Yeah, you can see here a value 21 we are getting, and b value also 21 we are getting. This is one thing. So then we have to discuss about the decrement. It is also same, decrement also same. First we'll have two things, isn't it? Postfix increment, postfix decrement and prefix decrement. Postfix decrement and prefix decrement. So quickly we see those two as well, and we see what other operator categories we have. So because I think conditional operator, it will take more time, so I will wind up the class here itself. After explaining this postfix increment and postfix decrement, I will wind up my class here itself. This conditional operator and other operators, I guess it will take another class. Okay, conditional operator and other operators, it will take another class. So I will wind up my lecture here itself. Already it is like 49 minutes only, so we'll still go. We'll still go. And if possible, I will discuss these conditional operators as well in today's session. Okay. So we need to discuss postfix decrement and prefix decrement. It is same like your postfix increment and postfix decrement. Okay. So here I will remove these things. I will remove these things. Okay. So these things I need. Or okay, let us say we'll write once again, no issues. So remove all these things. Okay. Then I will take yeah, now we were discussing decrement operator. We were discussing decrement. Decrement means minus minus. Again, it will have two things: postfix decrement, postfix decrement, and prefix decrement. Prefix decrement. Postfix decrement in the sense a minus minus. Prefix decrement in the sense minus minus a. The meaning of these two is same. A equals to a minus 1. Here also same thing. Here also same thing. But when exactly it is performing a minus 1, that is very important. So take the operands over here. Integer a is equals to some 20. Okay. A is equals to some 20 I have taken. Then a is equals to, sorry, take another parent, that is b, and then b is equals to a minus minus. B is equals to, we are saying a minus minus. So now what will happen? First the value will be assigned because we are performing post decrement, postfix decrement. So first the value will be assigned. So b value will become 20 only. Then the value will get decremented. So a value will become 19. So this thing you remember in postfix decrement. So same inside your prefix decrement, take a value, integer a is equals to 20, then integer b, okay, then b is equals to minus minus a. Like this we are taking. So now what will happen? First the value will get decremented. Here post decrement in the sense first the value will get decrement. So a value will become 19. Then the value will be assigned. After decrement the value will be assigned. So b value will also become 19. So like this you remember. Like this you have to remember. Okay. So quickly we go and we see what we have here. Okay. So we are taking a value as 20 and b equals to a minus minus, we are saying. This is postfix increment, sorry, decrement. Postfix decrement in the sense how the value will be. First the value will be assigned. So a value 20 we are having, so b value will become 20. Then the value will be decremented. A value 20 we are having, it will get decremented to 19. So this thing we have to get, a 19 and b 20. So compile, compilation successful, then execute. You can see a value 19 we are getting and b value as 20 we are getting. Okay, hopefully you understood this one. So the next thing, yeah, postfix decrement. So like this you put minus minus a, minus minus a. So first the value will get decrement. First the value will get decrement. So a value will become 19. Then the value will be assigned. Then the value will be assigned. So a value was 19. A value is 19 now. So the same thing. 19 will be assigned to b. Okay. So then compile. Compilation is successful. Then execute. It is a very confusing concept. A is equals to 19 and b is also equals to 19. You have to practice. It is a very confusing concept, I agree. But you have to practice. There is no other way. Whatever explanation I have given in the last 10 minutes, repeat it number of times until you get the understanding. Okay, until you get the understanding. And if there is a confusion in my explanation, you can approach me and you can post me on WhatsApp. Okay, you can clarify your doubts. Okay, so this is about increment and decrement operators, both postfix as well as prefix notations we have seen with respect to this increment as well as with respect to this decrement operators. Okay, then we have conditional operator. Okay, it is a very important operator. conditional operator. So this operator, what it will do? A conditional operator, it is also known as ternary operator. This is the only ternary operator in the C language. This is the only ternary operator in C language which takes three operands. Ternary in the sense it takes three operands to show its functionality. So basically, in order to show the functionality of the ternary operator, how many operands we require? We need three operands we need. So unary operators, they take only one operand. Binary operators, they take two operands. But whereas this conditional operator, it is a ternary operator, it will take three operands to show its functionality. So it is the only operator in C which takes three operands in its operation. So the token, if you see the conditional operator token, it is something like you have to take a question mark followed by a colon symbol. A question mark followed by a colon. This particular operator is a ternary operator. This particular operator is a conditional operator. Okay, conditional operator or ternary operator. So the syntax, if you see, first you have to put the conditional expression. First you have to put the conditional expression. From here to here, it is a conditional expression. From here to there, it is a conditional expression. Then put the question mark. Then put the question mark. Then expression 1 colon expression 2 at the end, like your regular statement closure, we will put a semicolon. So here two things. Whenever you are putting a conditional expression over here, this conditional expression can be evaluated to either true or false. Conditional expression in the sense it can be evaluated to true or it can be evaluated to false. There are only two possibilities. It can be either condition. Whenever you are giving a condition, either it can be a true condition or it can be a false condition. There is no other state. With respect to your condition, there is no other state. Either it can be true or it can be false. You remember this one. So when you are giving a conditional expression, this conditional expression can be evaluated to any of these two Boolean values. Either this conditional expression will become true Boolean value or this conditional expression will become false Boolean value. Okay, false Boolean value. So when it becomes true, so what will happen? The immediate expression, when it becomes true, the immediate expression gets evaluated. So like this, the immediate expression gets evaluated when it is true. And when the conditional expression becomes false, the the second expression gets evaluated, false. So suppose if you are saying over here, age must be greater than 18. Okay, age must be greater. You are framing a condition over here. And if you are passing the age value as 20, then this condition will become true, isn't it? This condition will become true. So the immediate expression will get evaluated. Here you can put anything like printf, the person can vote. The person can vote. So it is a shorthand notation. See this ternary operator, it is a shorthand notation for your if else or two-way conditional statement. It is a shorthand notation for two-way conditional statement. Remember this one. Your conditional operator is a shorthand notation for two-way selection statement, two-way decision making, two-way conditional statement. Okay, so whenever you want to divide the path between two paths and based on the requirement, based on the decision, if you want to take the true decision, you will select the true path, and if you want to take the false decision, you will take the false path. Likewise, if you want to divide your path, so we use this two-way selection statements, and this conditional operator is one such selection statement. Okay. Excuse me. So here you can read the last statement over here. The conditional operator is equivalent to if else statement. It is a two-way selection statement, if else statement, and your conditional operator is equivalent to two-way selection statement. Okay, hopefully you understood. So yes, we will understand this conditional statement with simple example, and then I will wind up my class. So what I am doing, I am taking like person's age, int age equals to some 25. I am taking 25 years. Then remove all these things. remove this as well. Okay, so then you start framing the conditional operator. As I said, your conditional operator is what? Okay, your conditional operator is this one. So first we have to put the condition, then question mark, then expression 1, then colon, then expression 2. Like this we said. And whenever my condition becomes true, expression 1 gets evaluated. And whenever my condition becomes false, expression 2 gets evaluated. So that thing to show, take the example of conditional expression. First you frame the conditional expression that I am doing like this. Age must be greater than 18. Age must be greater than 18. This is my condition. So then put the question mark. See, condition is what? I put the condition age must be greater than 18. This is my condition. So then question mark followed by the expression 1. Printf vote. Can vote. Okay. Can vote I am writing. Okay. Can vote. And put the semicolon. Sorry, colon. Put the colon and write the second expression. Printf can't vote. Can't vote. In short, I am writing all these things. Can't vote. And put the semicolon at the end. Put the semicolon at the end. That's it. So now, okay, save this program and try to execute. Compile. Compilation is successful, as you can see, and execute. So as the age is more than 18 years, so what we are expecting, this condition is becoming true, isn't it? Whenever the age is greater than 18, the condition is becoming true. So expression 1, that is printf can vote, should be evaluated. This thing should be evaluated. So we are expecting this one in my output. So compile. Compilation is successful, and when you execute, you can see can vote we are getting. We are getting what? We are getting can vote. Because my age is greater than 18 years and my condition is becoming true, the true expression is evaluated from the conditional operator. The true expression gets evaluated from the conditional operator. So take the age like 12 years. It is below 18 years, isn't it? It is below 18 years. So what will happen? I am saying age must be greater than 18. So this condition becomes false. So what will happen? The false part gets evaluated. The false part gets evaluated. So this thing I'm expecting on my output. So same thing, compile. Compilation is successful, and then execute. You can see we are getting the error message, can't vote. Okay, because the age is below 18 years, the person not able to vote, can't vote. So like this. Simple notation, simple meaning for this conditional operator, and it is a two-way selection operator because you have two possible paths. Whenever you are checking the condition, you have two possible paths. You can go with the true path or you can go with the false path. And the selection of path is depending on the behavior of this condition. Whenever the condition becomes true, we are going with the true path, and whenever the condition becomes false, we are going with the false path. So in this way your conditional operator works. So there are some other operator categories. So after this one, there are some other operator categories, like the first operator. C supports the following set of special operators. Okay, we also call them as special operators or other operators. So the first operator in that one is the ampersand. Okay, the ampersand, we call this as ampersand or address operator. Okay, it is having some specific meaning in your C when we deal with pointers. When we deal with pointers to get the address of a variable, we use this ampersand operator. We use this ampersand operator. Okay, it is a unary operator. It is a unary operator. It requires only one operator to perform its operation. Remember this one. It is an address operator. To get the address of a variable, we use this operator, and it is a unary operator. Then indirection operator, the asterisk. Indirection operator, to get the value from the address. To get the value from the address, we use this indirection operator or the asterisk token. And again, it is also a unary operator, and this one also used in pointers. See the points I'm writing over here. Unary, where we use inside pointers we use, and again to what it will do to retrieve the address. Okay, retrieve the address. Retrieve the address. So these things you remember. And here indirection operator, what it will do, it is also a unary operator, and we use this one also in pointers. And again, why we use this one? To retrieve the value. Okay, to retrieve the value, not the address but the value. Remember this one. Unary operator used in pointers and retrieve the address. Ampersand. Asterisk, unary operator used in pointers and retrieves the value. Okay, there are some other points associated with these operators that it is too early for you to understand. Okay, so the next thing, the comma operator, it is usually used as a separator. Okay, whenever you are framing the conditions inside your loops, or whenever you are doing the assignments, at that point we use this comma operator. Okay, comma operator. Then size of operator, it is used to know the size. Already we used this size of operator when we discussed the data types. In your data types, to know the allocated memory for a data type, or to know the allocated memory for a specific type of variable, we use this size of operator. Okay, so then dot and arrow operators, we call them as, see here, the dot and the arrow operators. Okay, dot and arrow operators we use in structures. It is a concept of your fourth unit, structures. There you will understand. So all these operator categories you have to remember. Special operators, ampersand operator used in pointers, unary operator and used to retrieve the value, and indirection operator, asterisk symbol, used in pointers, unary operator and used to retrieve the value. Then comma operator used as a separator, size of operator to know the number of bytes allocated. Then dot and arrow operator used in structures. Simply remember this one. This is more than enough for you. In case of special operators, you remember these things. Okay, in tomorrow's class, we'll be starting the precedence and associativity concept, and it is one of the important concept. It is one of the LAQ, we can say. Large answer, long answer question. After operators, there is a scope that they will ask a question from this precedence and associativity concept. It is a 7 marks question. Hopefully you understood. So, uh, yeah, with this understanding, I'm trying to conclude this today's session. So, thank you very much, students.